Hello and welcome back to So Forth and So On. I'm Miss Henderson, and first of all I'd like to say thank you so much for watching my video. If you like the content that you see, would you please press the like button, consider subscribing and sharing this video with friends and family. I hope you enjoy it. Today we are going to make a bonnet. I get a lot of requests for bonnets. And so I thought I would share how to make a simple hair bonnet. The bonnet that I'm going to make can be used for sleeping or to protect your hair in the house, or it can be used as a turban to wear out. So I'm going to be using a global fabric or African print and satin lining, coordinating satin lining. So without further ado, let's get started. Here on my cutting mat I have fabric and it's cut square to, let's measure, 24 by 24. So, and I have it wrong side up for now. So what we want to do is take the fabric and fold it in half once. And then we're going to fold it in half once more. When we fold it like this, we're going to have two folds on one side, one fold on the other side, and the other two sides you're going to have four raw edges. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how you have that. And what we're going to do, we're going to be working where the double folds and the single fold. We're working in that corner there. It has to be done in this corner. If you do it on the raw edges, it'll fall apart. Okay. So basically we're going to make a circle. And you need your measuring tape, a marker, something to mark with, and you can use a safety pin or a straight pin. We place our measuring tape right up in that corner where you have the double fold and the single fold. They meet that corner there. And I just put a pin in it to hold it. We measure down, and I'm going to come down as far as I can, which is about 12. And then hold it there and make a mark right where that 12 is. And if you use your safety pin and hold it in place, it helps turn this. So you go a little bit, make sure your measuring tape is okay. So you want to come around, make a mark, come around, make a mark at that 12-inch mark, make a mark at your 12-inch, and you're slowly going around making a little mark where the 12-inch hits. And sometimes it's good to put it on both sides of the 12-inch mark because you're going to end up connecting this. Keep going and keep going until you reach this point here. Set that aside, and what you want to do is just connect your marks. Sometimes your marks can get lost in the fabric, but just take your time and find them. Okay, so what you're going to do is cut along okay. And we'll come out with our circle. Now you can make these smaller or larger depending on what you plan to do. Some people have braids or locks, dreadlocks, and so they need a bigger bonnet to cover, and some wear shorter hairstyles. So whatever you plan to do, you would make it larger or smaller. But this is our circle. And so what you want to do is lay out your satin fabric right side up, and the circle you just cut, you lay it down right side down. And sometimes it's hard to tell, but you have to just pay attention. And once you get that even on the other piece, you're going to cut another piece. Cut the satin piece to match your print. And you can place some pins around so that it doesn't shift or move on you. And just go ahead and cut that out. Okay, so now that you have both your outside fabric and your inside satin fabric cut into your circle shape, you just want to fold it in half to find the middle. And use your measuring tape to measure up 3 inches from the bottom on that center line. And you make a mark there. I'm just going to put a pin there. And then you measure over 3 inches from that edge. And again, I'm just going to put a pin to mark my spot there. And what you want to do is cut a curve right there. And this doesn't have to be perfect. You can draw your line, you can use a curved ruler. Let's see, I have a curved ruler. So if you want to use a curved ruler, you can use a curved ruler like this and angle it out like that, which is helpful. Or just draw it, trace it on, and then cut it. And I can remove this pin. And you're going through all 4 layers. Okay. Remove the pins. and open it back up. So now you have this opening right here, and we're just going to pin along that because we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam around this part only. So we head over to the sewing machine. And we sew that 1/4 inch seam just around the part we cut. Remember to back stitch at the beginning and the end of your stitching. You can press your seam to set it. Then you want to clip your curve. It makes it lay down a lot flatter. Just don't clip through your stitching, but make little clips around that curve so that when you fold it right side out, it will lie flat. Okay, so you go ahead and remove your pins. And flip it right side up. And you'll have a nice seam right there. Go ahead and press the seam on both sides, and we will continue. Okay, so we've sewn our little curve together there. It came up very nice. And now we want to sew 2 rows of stitching around the outside, the edges. We're going to sew all the way around, and then we're going to sew all the way around again, 2 rows of stitching. You want to use a straight stitch and the longest stitch length on your machine. Mine is a 4, yours might be a 5. And a straight stitch. You want to leave plenty of thread before you stitch because we're going to use this together. You want to leave plenty of thread out, a tail there. Do not back stitch on this part. So I'm going to sew 2 rows of stitching and I'll be right back. So now I have sewn the gathering stitches along the edge, 2 rows here. There's 1 row, and they're about a 1/4 inch apart. That's 1 row there, and then the inner row there, all the way around the circle, beginning and ending at that portion that we cut That circle part we cut starting here, going all the way around, stopping, and doing the second time. Notice that we kept our threads long. And now we're going to gather the fabric. So, to gather, you want to grab the lower threads, your bobbin threads. Don't tangle them up. And you might be able to do this halfway on each side. But you leave your top threads there and the two bottom threads right here. You just want to gather them. And you just pull on the fabric very carefully. And push that fabric up, and what you're doing is making gathers. And as you pull the thread and move that fabric up, you'll add more gathers, and just be very careful that you don't break your thread. So you have to put a little bit of tug on it, but not so much. Just be patient. Don't try to move it all the fabric at one time. You may have to scoot some fabric further along and then come back and start at the end again until you get that fabric. But you keep working with it. You see how those gathers are coming along? We're going to do this all the way around the fabric to the other side. And I would do this probably to the center, and then I would do the same thing on the other side to meet that, instead of trying to go all the way around. Once we finish pulling our threads to make the gathers should look like this. Around the entire cap. Now the cap is ready to go, and we set it aside so that we can make our straps or our ties that go along with it. So I've taken 3 strips of the fabric, and they measure 3 inches wide by 69 inches long. And I had to sew strips together to get that length. So what I'm going to do now is sew along this line to combine the 3 strips. Now I have 69-inch long strip by 3 inches wide. And once I have that connected, I'll give those seams a press. I'll press those seams open, and I'll fold it in right sides together. So I'll see you in a bit. Once you have folded and pressed your tie in half all the way length down, then you want to use your cap and measure from one side of that opening where we sewed that little curve all the way around. Well, first of all, find the center of your tie. So you fold your tie in half, end to end, and you find your center point. Then you find the center point of your cap, which will be totally opposite from that little curved area, and you match the centers. And then you take one side of the tie and take it down to that little curved part and put a pin there, but don't attach it to the cap, just put a pin in the tie. And do the same thing on the other side till you reach that other end and put a pin there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sew from the pin all the way to the end of the tie on each side, but you're going to leave this part open in the middle. Once you've pressed down both sides of the tie, you'll need to go in that little opening with the turning tool to turn it right side out, and you turn both sides out. So this is one side. I've turned out the other side, and so I have a tool here and I'm just connecting it, and then we want to turn this right side out. So we'll pull that fabric through. And now we have it turned right side out, and we'll make sure we get that end poked out, and go back in with the tool. And just poke out that end. And once we get that poked out, we'll give it a good press, and we are almost done. So once you have pressed your ties nice and flat, you want to match up that center point with the center point on your cap, and you're going to enclose the gathers inside the opening that you left up to this point here. So you're just going to set that inside here, sandwich it in between. And you're covering the gathers on the inside and the out. And you put a pin there. And you're going to do this all the way around to the other side. So just take your time, and you're encasing your gathers inside the tie. Both sides should be inside. And then you'll use a pin to hold it. And you pin through all layers all the way around. So once you have the band or the tie pinned all the way around, it'll look something like this. It's pinned on, and then it's on the inside. And what you're going to do is sew all the way around your band and all the way along this edge, the open edge of your tie, so that you can catch it and put a nice top stitch on it. And now our bonnet is complete. We have our straps. We have the inside, which is satin. And it can be worn as a night bonnet to sleep in, or as a pretty head wrap during the day. you can play around with how you want to style it. But it's very nice. Easy to make. Bonnet. And you work it out so it can be smaller because it's laying low, or it can be the puffy look that some of the styles require. It's up to you. It can be strictly for sleeping and protecting your hair around the house, or it can be a decorative piece. Or a decorative accessory to a beautiful outfit. I like the bow. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you will give it a try. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, found some value in it, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me and watching my video. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye bye. Remember to so forth and so on. Thank you.